Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am the stepson of Krypton,
And I'm Mantis.
and today we are discussing an article that actually Mantis had mentioned a couple of weeks ago about wanting to talk about, but then we had this burst of news from James Gunn and all of this stuff going on. We've released a lot of videos, and now we're kind of circling back around to it, and that is James Gunn and the idea of him bringing Captain Atom into the DCU. Now, to be fair, he didn't specifically say, yes, I'm going to bring Captain Atom into the DCU. He was asked by a fan, I guess, on Twitter. Is it called X now? I've been hearing that. Is that a thing?
X, Twitter, both. I call Twitter just because it still is what I type in in Google when I'm going to the website. But yeah,
Okay, sorry,
X.
ADHD
Yeah,
kicked in there for a second. But um was asked about Captain Atom, and he said he's been a big fan for a long time. And if you were one of the few people that watched our top 5 Marvel and DC characters that we wanted to come to the big screen, Captain Atom was one of my top, I think it was number 2, that I wanted to see from the DC side. Was I want to see Captain Atom come to the big screen. Mantis, are you as big a fan of
yeah.
Atom as I am?
I wasn't really familiar with Captain Atom. You definitely know more than me. I mean, I know a little bit of the couple origin stories of Captain Atom. But the Twitter post that you were talking about, that James Gunn said, I mean, he said, so yeah, like you said, he said, I've been a Captain Atom fan for a long time. And it wasn't, he didn't dodge the question. He linked videos. He linked pictures of the comic book, as well as, some illustrations. So, I would say it's not out of the realm of possibility that it happens. There was a kind of a joke that it was like, well, how many superheroes are we going to have in this fucking Superman Legacy movie, right? Like, I mean, there's already so many superheroes that they've kind of already cast. I would think, unless it's being kept really top secret, that it's probably not going to happen it's not going to happen in Superman Legacy, but who knows? I mean, crazier things have happened. Um, and there's an interesting couple battles that happen. One particularly between Captain Atom and Superman. So that would be kind of cool to see. I don't want to say his version of Batman versus Superman, but it'd be like, Captain Atom versus Superman would be kind of cool.
The thing is, and don't get me wrong, you guys know we've talked about Batman v Superman. Somebody had made a comment on that video where we were discussing it, about how they thought that there was talk of that one being too convoluted and there was too much going on in that, but now being okay with having multiple heroes in Superman Legacy. And I will say, I'm not sure if the comment was geared towards us or just the people in general that hated on the movie, because it did get a lot of hate when it came out. I will say for us, it wasn't that the movie, like, it was so crammed with heroes and villains, because it was bringing one of my favorite villains into the movie in the last 15 minutes, and you've got to wrap up that storyline. Whereas this one, we don't know what's going to happen with Superman Legacy. All of these people may make minimal, small roles in Superman Legacy, leading to their own spin-off movies, or for some of the characters that aren't as big. So yeah, I don't want to see Captain Atom come into Superman Legacy, but like a mention, like you see, like the scientists are like, oh, that's Nathaniel Adam there, just a quick, or even you don't even have to see him, just the mention of his name, right? Because now hey, he could be in it later. Because we talk about Batman v Superman, it would be a little bit heftier of a fight between Captain Atom and Superman.
It would, and I mean, from what I remember, Captain Atom put up a pretty good fight against Superman, but old son of Krypton came out on top on that exchange. But
You fought a good fight. Stay down.
I can't do that, Superman.
With kind of going back to what you said up when we were talking about Batman versus Superman, for you, like, yeah, Doomsday is one of your favorite characters, and I can see that being a total focal point of why you would just introduce him in 15 minutes and be done. For me, it had to be it was literally the magnitude of the character. Like, why would you do that from that as big a place as a massive character as Doomsday is in the storyline and in the ethos and lore of Superman? Why would you do that? But like literally just a tiny snippet of the whole Nolan series. It just doesn't make sense to me. It'd be like if you equate it to MCU, it'd be like, oh, yeah, well, we're just gonna bring in Thanos in the last 15 minutes of Andor or
Infinity War.
Infinity War. It's like, wait, wait. Hold on a second. This is supposed to be the whole culmination, like a massive thing in this franchise, and he's shown up in the last 15 minutes, and that's it. Like, it to me, yeah,
This actually came in handy. Surprisingly, we were talking about it.
Right. Yeah. And James Gunn, it's so crazy because it's like at this point, I mean, he's cast the people in Superman Legacy, as we've talked about in a previous video, but it's interesting that he brought up Captain Atom just from a random person that tweeted at him about it. But they haven't cast or even, talked about who Batman is going to be, who they cast Batman at, or who's going to be cast as Batman or Wonder Woman through the mainline series of this new universe of DCU. So it would be really weird for them to do something like Captain Atom is a pretty obscure character as far as it's been so far in the cinematic universe of DC characters. So it'd be very strange for him to do that before he cast, Batman or Wonder Woman, quite frankly.
It's really weird because we haven't heard anything about him looking for a Batman or a Wonder Woman, right? And you think Superman and Justice League, the next biggest one is Batman, right?
Right.
And with Batman v Superman, things of that nature, like you're like, all right, well, like you haven't made any mention of this, but then Captain Atom comes up now. I will say this interesting fact for those of you who aren't as familiar with Captain Atom, as more specifically in his fights with Superman in the Justice League animated series, they do fight in like the lower levels of Cadmus Labs, not to be confused with Cadmus Media Group, but they do fight in the lower levels. Actually, that was the perfect time to use this secondary camera and point down there, and I fucked it up. Missed opportunities. What are you gonna do? I wasn't prepared. I just, that's the problem with doing this stuff on the fly, right? But they do fight as well. There is a limited comic book run. I say limited. It was only 4 issues started in February 2008. It's called Countdown Arena. So back in 2007, and well, actually a little bit before, and going into 2008, you had Countdown to Final Crisis in the comic books, which was the lead up to the big war with all of the different universes and the monitors and the anti-monitors, similar to Crisis on Infinite Earths, kind of thing. But so you had Countdown to Final Crisis, and then you had Countdown Arena, and that was where basically Captain Atom, in his final form, which was Monarch, he actually is gathering heroes to put them in this battle arena. He wants to try to find the strongest of them to make up his own team, basically his own evil Justice League that is going to go fight the monitors, all of them from the 52 different universes that exist in that at that time, it's multiverse. To them, when he would win, they would win. He would be the most powerful being in the multiverse, and Monarch, Captain Atom in his ultimate powerful form, he beats Superman. Now he didn't kill him. Superman gets saved because the other heroes gather multiple Captain Atoms from other universes to stop him from killing Superman. and then he absorbs them, but it gives Superman time to escape. So he beats Superman. And the question
Monarch does, right?
Monarch does. So supposedly the question of is Captain Atom stronger than Superman at that point was answered that yes, Captain Atom is actually stronger than Superman. Now, ironically, later on when it starts to go down to Final Crisis, he gets beat by Superman Prime, which was Superboy Prime. He becomes Superman Prime. He was able to tear his suit, and when once his suit is torn, because his suit is what contains his power. But as Monarch, since he's so much more powerful, when the suit gets gets torn, he wipes out the entire universe. That entire universe. The only thing that survived was the Monitor. Everything else, that whole universe is gone. So I guess you're down to 51.
So darn.
Right. So just a little interesting fact now as well, because we are nerds, we're going to tie it into if you are familiar with the Arrowverse on the CW, it is worth watching all of those. I do love it. It's a love-hate relationship, but I do love it. But on that, one of the first crossover they had was Crisis on Earth X. And it's funny because when they start talking about, that's one of the first times they ever mentioned the multiverse in the Arrowverse. And he says, there's 52 Earths. There's 52 universes.
Another Earth? Well, there are more than one.
There are 52, actually.
So I'm hard-pressed to think of one where Nazis are ascendant.
I can. There's a 53rd Earth.
And they find out that Earth X is actually the 53rd. But it's in that same realm of like with the Final Crisis and Countdown to Final Crisis and Countdown Arena, is in that there's only 52 different universes. There isn't a infinite number like there is now. So I thought that was kind of, that's always been kind of interesting that, when Arrowverse did that, they ran with that 52. And now they kind of rebooted it where there's an infinite number again.
Well, it's the whole, yeah. I would think there would be an infinite number, but apparently in certain, comic book lore lines, there's only 52 or 53 technically. Yeah, it, in Captain Atom, I think has a pretty decent backstory, which is, it's so crazy because and maybe this is a tie-in thing that he's trying to do with the lore, because I think you had mentioned to me before that, or maybe it wasn't Superman. No, we were talking about Fantastic Four was going to be in the 60s. Never mind. I was gonna bring up the fact that if they were making Superman Legacy in the 60s, and it would kind of tie into the origin stories of in the same time frame as Captain Atom, depending on which one they wanted to do. But that obviously is not the case. You were talking about Fantastic Four's time frame. So X-nay on that.
Now, to be fair, we discussed that off channel because we did a video about the final where they actually finally confirmed who the cast of Fantastic Four was. But one of the things that got mentioned like a day or two later, and it wasn't worth doing another video on for you guys, was that the plan is to, actually I think it was mentioned later that day that we did the video, but the plan was that they're going to release this Fantastic Four new movie with Pedro Pascal in them in the 60s. So
yeah. Well, the reason I thought of it, as I say, the reason I thought of it is because depending on which origin story they go with, I know and correct me if I'm wrong because this is all kind of just trying to remember this. Captain Atom was like he did something wrong. I guess in this version, like he committed a crime and he got sentenced by this. I don't know if it was a war crime, but he committed like pretty heinous crimes, I guess. And there was a general that had it kind of in for him or whatever, and was like, "Hey, by the way, you can volunteer for this project. We'll strap you in this kind of nice little container, throw you down, and of course they detonated a nuclear blast over top of this thing or under it, and deep in ground or whatever, and supposedly vaporized him. Which this general guy becomes his, I won't say nemesis, but he becomes a bad guy in the first couple issues, I guess, because he ends up stipping his wife, marrying his wife, raising his kids after they thought he was dead. Which of course he kind of shows back up and has powers, and he there's a long list of powers that he has. It's kind of stupid actually. But I guess his main thing is he absorbs energy, which is kind of, I guess, what he did when the nuclear blast went off on top of him, right? Um, I kind of circling back to the beginning of this, what our talk, I don't necessarily think it would be good to introduce him as a cameo or something like that in any movie. I think he needs his own movie to explain all of this, because as we saw with like the MCU, with characters that people may not be as familiar with, like Iron Man or Thor, or any of those, it's like you need your own movie to explain the backstory of these characters, especially ones that are a bit obscure and not as mainstream in the historical instances I'm talking about, like, as the mainline characters like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. Like everyone knows these characters, but Captain Atom, people may not know. I just think it would be a disservice. It probably, I don't know, unless you're just trying to like do a cameo to kind of like, here's a sneak peek, this guy's going to be in the next movie release, and then you do a whole thing about it. I just don't think he should be a quote unquote co-star, I guess is what I want to say. Like he shouldn't be
I don't even care to see him in the movie, but I'm thinking like a name drop, right? Like for those who don't know, in like the animated series like Justice League, he's working with Cadmus. About said Cadmus Media Group. He is not working with the Cadmus Media Group.
He should be.
He should be, right? That's what I'm saying. But he's working with Cadmus Labs. But he basically works for the government, right? And there's a reason he's called Captain Atom. It's like Captain America. He's working for the government, and he's a soldier. Like he's their soldier. He's basically their souped up Captain America because he's infinitely powerful. So like hearing him mention, like, if they say, either they could say Nathaniel Adam, or if they want to say Captain, the Captain, whatever, just a little name drop, just so you know. It's kind of like at the end of Man of Steel, when Superman crashes the drone and he's talking to the colonel there, and he says,
right,
Captain Ferris. He's like, he's like, get in the car, Captain. And you see her name says Ferris.
What are you smiling about, Captain?
Nothing, sir. I just think he's kind of hot.
And it was like, okay, she's a captain. Captain Ferris, Ferris Air, Green Lantern. They do something like that. I'm okay with, like, a quick name. Again, you don't even have to be talking to him directly. It could just be a mention of him somewhere.
Just a quick thing. Just a quick. And they don't have to go anywhere with it, right? If they don't want to. Like, it could just be nothing. It could just be throwing people off. Or, 5 years down the road, 6 years down the road, they can come back to it if they want, right? Like, then it's not off the table.
I do agree with you, though. It is a disservice to a character that, while he is not a, very well-known character, he does have a lot of backstory, and again, he is a very powerful character. He's one of the few, that people now. Obviously, I'm of any comic book character, any superhero, I'm the biggest Superman fan. Clearly, right? I'm the biggest of the Superman. Like, he's my favorite. But there are a lot of people, and I'm not going to say. Well, I will say, like, I don't think. I know in the comics Monarch did, but Superman's beat Captain Atom multiple times. For me, I don't think he's as powerful, but he's close, right? He is a one of the powerhouses of the Justice League, or the expanded Justice League, right? And I do think it would be a disservice to just have him show up as a cameo, have him as like a almost like a Hawkeye, in the fucking Thor movie.
That's what I don't
want to see. I don't want to see it. Yeah, you're 100% right on that. I don't want to see him done like that, right? like
Yeah.
maybe the Question or something. I'm fine if you do that, even though I think that would make it interesting for his own movie. But like somebody like that or Huntress or something, they can be the Huntress could be the female Hawkeye, even though I mean it's like that's fine. You could do that kind of stuff. But yeah, I want to see Captain Atom like get his own origin story.
Hmm.
I do think though it would add a cool element is if you do a name drop or like a quick like you don't even get a full glimpse of him, right? But then when you do his origin story, like you were just saying, like his origin story takes place way back when in like the 60s and 70s. Like go back in time and show the younger version. And
Hmm.
as long as because with Superman Legacy, you're not going to have any tie-ins to the past, right? So you could do whatever you wanted, as opposed to like where Captain Marvel, because you went to the '90s, then you're like, well, wait a minute, why wasn't she at this? Why wasn't she at this? You don't have
Right.
to fucking do all that stuff. Like you have a clean slate.
A clean slate. It wipes your record clean. Clean as a clean slate.
Right. Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's an interesting thing that he brought up in his tweet, and hopefully he does explore it. But I don't necessarily think it should be included inside of you know uh, Superman Legacy. So
Yeah, I am in agreement with a lot of people. Like I'm very shocked and surprised that they have this many people, this many characters in Superman Legacy, regardless of how large a part they play. I'm really shocked to see of this many. Um, but it also makes me interested about where he's going with this.
I know, I know, it's crazy. It's crazy, and who knows? Even some of these characters, they may not even be uh have their powers yet. They may just be kind of a separate storyline in the movie, like, and it's just kind of because like we talked about, you don't want to stay on a high note the whole time. So maybe because we talked about, like, Nathan Fillion, right, is playing the Green Lantern in this movie,
Guy Gardner.
and
Yep.
so maybe it's Guy Gardner before he gets the ring, and he's literally the you know the calm parts of the movie and maybe the comic relief, that type of stuff, and then all the action and stuff is actually hitting when Superman's doing his shit, right? So they could do something like that. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, it's a lot of people already in this movie.
I wonder, because they're not doing an origin story, they're not doing all of this. Is it going to be something like where like you see Superman or you see Clark going to the Daily Planet and stuff, and then they do like a time jump like years later where he's been Superman for a while? Like there's so many fucking possibilities with what he's doing right now where you could take it.
I
So
know. I think once we
maybe
start to see like sneak peeks and maybe set pictures and things like that, we'll kind of get an idea about what he's gonna do. Like we haven't even seen the suit yet, so I don't know. I know we're getting off
apparently
on tangent.
Millie has.
Oh well, yeah. You never know.
So yeah, we're getting off on a tangent. Definitely, we're bad about that. Sorry.
Happens.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just it's all good material, and it's exciting to know that all of slash scary that all of these characters are going to be at least mentioned because obviously they're cast in this. So it's kind of exciting to know, but I'm also scared.
I'm scared to close my eyes. I'm scared to open them.
Of where they're going to take it. That I don't want the movie. It's a Superman movie. It's his first movie in the DCU. I don't want it to be overwhelmed by a bunch of people, like too many things going on. Because I want to see this franchise. I want to see a damn Superman franchise continue. Like this is ridiculous with all these reboots and stuff. Like do something.
Do one good one. Like that's all I want. Just one good one.
Right. And then don't reboot it for at least 10 years.
Right. Let it sit for a minute.
So, as we do in our normal segments here, final thoughts. That's going to be a thing now. I should just do like, I'll set like you can just jump right to our final thoughts. I am a huge, huge fan of Captain Atom and will love to see him join the DCU if it is going to happen. However, I do agree with Mantis. I do not think it needs to happen in Superman Legacy. Name drop, cool. I don't even necessarily want to see him. I don't want to, like, maybe, like I said, just a mention of him or whatever in passing, but I do not want to see him come into Superman Legacy. I feel like you've already got too many people, because we don't even know what Supergirl's role is going to be in Superman Legacy. She is going to be in it for something. So, like, we don't need all the powerhouses showing up. That worries me, right? Like, this is just an entry story into his new origins, basically, in the DCU. Why are we bringing all the powerhouses in? Little worrisome. So that's my final thoughts.
Yeah, I kind of said earlier, I agree. It's separate movie. Good with that. I think James Gunn, at least on the rumors, the tweet that he sent out, I think he was probably paying lip service, just to strum up some publicity for it, which is good. That's fine. And he's a fan of comics, so it makes sense that he said it. And it kind of alludes that he's probably going to look into a future project with something to do with Captain Atom. So that's kind of what I would be inferring from all of this.
I'm hoping for it because I love when, you sent me that video of all, like, sorry, Marvel guys, all the Marvel people that have been directing and writing these movies that are like, oh, we were told not to read any of the comics. Oh yeah, I've never read any one of the comics. Where you got a guy that loves, like, he's like, I love this character. I love these. It's like, Henry Cavill with the characters that and the project he gets attached to. They're passionate about. They love it. That's what I love to see because I know it's going to be good. Because it's like, damn well, like, if give me $200 million, I'll make you a great Superman movie.
Or you go off to the Cayman Islands and never see you again. One of the two.
I wouldn't do that. I would still put out. Now, I'm not going to say I wouldn't maybe shave some money off the top, right? Like, this scene cost us $5 million, and really it only cost us $3 million. And then I take $2 million off of there and all that stuff. But
says your trailer here was $25 million. What happened with that?
I needed a bigger kitchen. I like cooking. Like, you give some, it's like Independence Day. Like, you don't really think they spent $30,000 on a toilet seat. It's like that.
Funding for something like this. You don't actually think they spend $20,000 on a hammer, $30,000 on a toilet seat, do you?
Yeah.
But I would still make sure a good movie got put out as well. I wouldn't do that to my favorite character. So, all right, guys. So we don't keep going on because it's what we'll do. If you've made it this far with us, we are never going to ask you in the beginning. Consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. And mention that because I just looked over and also saw the other screen. Want to thank all of our subscribers as well as all of the new ones that we've gotten over the past week or two. That's been amazing. Obviously, you guys are the reason we do this here, but it's also because of you. We're not going to ask you to like and subscribe to the channel at the very beginning of the episode because you don't like it. No, I do the editing. I control this. I will mute you. But we definitely do appreciate it, right? We love talking about this with you guys, and we love all the interaction we've been getting in the comments. So we definitely thank every one of you, or at least I do. He's being kind of weird today. If you are still listening to my ramblings, consider liking and subscribing.
Yeah, down here. Wait, yeah, down here.
Do you see yourself, right? Because, like, you're putting in there, and, like, I have to try to, like, place when you do the hand, and I'm like, what, wait.
Well, because it's mirrored. It's mirrored. So, like, if I point over here, it's on this side of my screen. It's like reversed.
Okay, that is a little harder. You're like, just do this. Just right down, or you know what? Like, down here. I had to do that one time. I had to utilize that. I just got the new fucking Stream Deck here. I had to use it. Yeah, that's fine. There's nothing up there right now. I can do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there. Like and subscribe, like to Jesus. But I'll just put the like and subscribe up there. Okay. All right, guys. Mantis, unless you have anything else, that is going to do it for us.
I think we've said everything.
And more. That is going to do it for us here on this episode, guys. We will catch you on the next one.
Later.